I just want to take a second here, talk to you because you're not really big into, well, you weren't big into D&D. In fact, you never played it until what, last year?
Yeah.
What was it, man? Like mid last year?
Yeah.
Middle of last year? And you were never really into, or you never had gotten into all that kind of stuff, but you heard me and my buddy from Alabama talk about it for a while, right?
Yeah.
So, what did you think about it when you finally got a chance to actually sit down and play?
When I sat down and finally played it and stuff, it was interesting because you could be basically whatever you wanted to be, and the sky's literally your limit.
Yeah.
And it was just, like that inner geekiness of you.
Well, was it something that you actually were
into?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
because it was, I don't know, I've always been like real into like monsters and stuff like that.
yeah, and I think at some level, I think really all guys are. I haven't met like even guys who act like they aren't. They'll geek out over a good monster movie. Any day.
Yeah.
I know guys who go gaga over something like Cloverfield.
Yeah.
Even if it's just found footage films. I know. I think there's a lot about the unknown and the whole fantasy genre that brings people together. Me personally, I really enjoy D&D because of the storytelling, and being a DM, I enjoy crafting the story that people have to walk through.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like I put people in these outer world scenarios where they never would have thought that you could never do in real life, and that these people like you and everyone else, that they wind up getting sucked into emotionally and like mentally.
Yeah.
On top of like the whole escapism from daily life.
Yeah.
While you're playing it, time goes by.
You're not worried about like what's going on in the world. You're like sunk into this world.
Yeah, and time slips by really fast when playing D&D. And I think a lot of that's got to do with person-to-person conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah, as opposed to playing something like a video game, where there's parts in video games that just seem like they drag on forever.
Yeah.
I think most of the time with D&D, as long as you got a good group of friends and a good DM, I think it'll go by like that. I think 4 hours will go by in like 40 minutes.
Yeah.
I've had it happen, and me and the people I used to play with, we would start at like 2 in the afternoon, and we'd play till 2 in the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah, or maybe even longer. We'd start earlier and play to 2. I mean, it'd be crazy times like that, and we would kind of binge like that. But then all week long, we would starve ourselves. We wouldn't have any D&D except just prepping for the game on the weekend, which then we binged on the Saturday from like 2 in the afternoon to 2 in the morning. And that's another thing I think about D&D that a lot of people don't take into account is the amount of people who actually are into it, or people don't think about that, or people, and actually, like I know we talked about it earlier. A friend of mine who goes to the gym, and he's big into all kinds. He's big into collecting action figures, stuff like this, and you look at him, you wouldn't guess that because he's such a big guy.
Yeah.
So swole. But
they're all like so big and so geeky.
Yeah, but he's super geeky. Yeah. And it's he's always wanted to play D&D, and he makes a very good point. Some people don't want to dip their toes into something else that they're not used to because they're afraid that if they dip too far, they're going to wind up jumping in. And he doesn't want to jump into something and then spend all of his money on something else when he's got all these other hobbies going on. Here, we can slide that a little bit closer so you have to reach all the way across. And I'm going to put mine right here. Look at that. That's the good shit. So what is your take on dice? Being that you're still kind of new to the whole scene, you've only played a couple times now. Do you think that the dice matter to the player?
Oh yeah, most definitely.
You do? Why is that?
Because it's either a make or break.
Really?
Yeah, it's more of a luck type deal.
You think so? You think it's a lot of luck?
Yeah.
So if you tell me I might pick up these dice and it's all about luck, you don't think that there's a little bit of like something else going on in there?
Like skill wise?
I don't know. I think that there's and I'm not trying to get all weird and supernatural, like there's a bond, but try to tell me that there's not. Like when you think of your character, you think of one set of dice that you play with. You know, just like with me, when I DM, I have a single set of metallic dice I use. Whenever I'm playing my character, there's a single set of dice I use for my character, which I keep in here.
Yeah.
And these are the ones I've had since I was like 7 years old.
Yeah, that could. Being you said that, that does. We really never know. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, there's really no telling.
Yeah.
In my,
it could be, right?
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't that be nice if
like you bond with the dice
Yeah,
and then you go play and you're like a god with them?
Yeah. It's the heart of the cards, but it's the heart of the dice. Yeah. It's a whole Yu-Gi-Oh concept, but just D&D form.
Yeah.
You know,
I remember my first time playing D&D. We were at my house and I don't know. It was my first time playing, so I was very adventurous and I wanted to rush into shit.
I remember.
And it was like 5 minutes into the game and I was completely dead.
Yeah. You completely it was a total party kill.
Yeah.
It was a TPK.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I remember that. I do remember that.
Cause
was Zach there?
Yeah, Zach was there, and so was Caleb.
I remember that. Zach was laughing his ass off. I do remember that. Yeah. But you wised up now. You know now that you can kind of take your time. You don't have to rush through things. That the game, it's got a lot of facets to it.
Yeah.
And I remember at the time you were confused about just mechanics and how the game worked. And it wasn't. I think you might have been overthinking it because it seems really confusing when you first start. But then
once you get into it, it's basic.
Do you think that watching other people play helped?
Yeah.
You think that helped out a lot?
Sitting back and watching y'all play at the dinner table and stuff like that actually helped. Because, I mean, you sit back and, video games, you get stuck on a video game, you'll look up, how do I walk through to get through this? Or, how the hell do I beat this beast?
How do I beat this boss?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like Sekiro Shadows Die Twice?
Yeah.
I'm like a few levels in, really. But I'm like really debating if I should look up how to beat this one guy I'm at because he's just mopping the floor with me.
Yeah. In D&D, it's really just, you never know what you're really going up against. You go, like
real life, isn't it?
Yes, your DM's not going to be a dick and be like a Hydra. You're not going to fight a Hydra at level 1.
No. You might. Depends on who's DMing, and he might.
That's a dickhead move.
Hey, I've seen some dickhead moves. But did you know that back in the day that there was a whole D&D is the devil scare? Were you aware of that?
No.
When Dungeons & Dragons first came out and Gary Gygax and them came together and came up with the idea and for this amazing role-playing game with pen and paper, tabletop. One of the first of its kind really that took it to the extreme. And then they formed TSR, and it became mainstream, and they actually got modules out there for everybody. Well, as people learned about this, of course, the church got all involved in everything.
Yeah.
But you didn't know that back then people saw it as evil. A lot of people did, and a lot of people saw it as this evil.
Like, was it like
Satan worshiping?
Witchcraft type deal?
Yeah. You could say that. They saw it as like.
Because it was monsters.
Yeah, it was monsters, and they thought that their kids really believed that they were casting spells. When, I mean, what do you think happens when your kid picks up a stick and he goes in the backyard and plays knight? Only difference is doing it at a table with.
He's a child.
Yeah, it's imagination.
Yeah, I mean,
So what do you think about that?
That's kind of dumb.
Did you know that?
No.
Did you know that it got so serious that people were trying to push laws into play to affect it?
About D&D?
Yeah.
That is dumb.
Oh yeah, well D&D also played such an influence. You look at a lot of the stuff we have today, a lot of the books, a lot of the video games, and a lot of the pop culture stuff we have today has been influenced by Dungeons & Dragons. Stranger Things has a lot of influence from Dungeons & Dragons.
Yeah. But no, it just, that doesn't make sense because, I mean, it's like, from the South, I'm a country boy and all that, that's like me
I'm sure people could see
a
you
stick and going out and playing cops and robbers.
Yeah, people couldn't see that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It wouldn't be something that someone would.
It wouldn't be like, oh my God, my kid's fisting to go rob someone. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but nowadays, if you look at how everything's going, the world's going into the gutter, or at least we are from our own stupidity. And realistically, I think that this is just people wanting to all these riots, all these rioters, and
Yeah.
you know, the thing is while we sit on the sidelines and look at it, and I'm only going to say this real quick about this so we get back on topic, but I think a lot of it is people wanting to fight something. They're wanting to butt heads with something. They want
They're
to
like,
feel
I have rights. I'm fixing to abuse the shit out of them.
kind of, yeah.
And like,
In a
the
sense.
peaceful protesting, standing out in the streets, that's a different story. But the rioters and stuff like that, they're not trying to do anything. They're trying to steal shit.
Yeah.
That's
There
their
is a difference
objectives.
between actual peaceful protesting and rioting. And the news, of course, is twisting all that. But I'm not really, that aside, I think all these people need some D&D in their life.
Oh yeah.
I think they need something to do.
Yeah, a hobby or something.
Yeah,
that really interests them.
Other than just file, unemployment.
Trying to fucking
getting all of our taxpayer money. But we'll see what happens with all that, man. I honestly, I'm not. If something happens, it happens. We live in the South, and with the place we live, that we don't see really any of what's going on.
Yeah.
Sure, we have some stuff going on above us right now, but we're so far away from it. And even everybody I talk to, they're not really too concerned about it. What I'm concerned about, and was concerned about for a while, was how the hell I was going to be getting my books. But then, Amazon started shipping books again. I was like, oh, thank God. So I guess I keep buying my books, which, I need more shelving. I'm going to put all the ones back there so I can complete.
But, no, people just need a hobby and stuff like that. And I think D&D would make a good influence because, you get to express, your creativity and, you're adventurous and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying?
So when you thought about Dungeons and Dragons, do you think it's something where people, are you okay? What's going on there? That looks like a butt bite, man. You might want to leave that alone. It's in us to mess with things, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I think, or do you think that you would have ever enjoyed playing D&D?
No, because it sounds really nerdy.
It sounds very dry, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Until you
Dungeons
sit
and
down.
Dragons.
Yeah. Well, until you sit down and play it. Until
at
you
least
actually
play it and understand it.
Yeah. I think, heck, I enjoy watching it. I enjoy watching people play it because it's funny. It's fun. If you got a good group of guys, anything can happen, and it's enjoyable. It's storytelling. It is storytelling at its purest, and I think that us as people, that's a part of us. We're all storytellers. Back in the day, people used to gather around fires and just tell stories.
Exactly.
That's how people pass time, and to this day, we still do that. I think a part of us is we are people who need to talk. We need to have other people with us.
Communication.
Exactly. We need to have that person-to-person contact. Well, I'm happy that we sat down and you wanted to talk about this and everything, and that we at least did a little bit of recording of it so we can get it out there that anybody can play D&D, Dungeons & Dragons. I really think people should get out there and play it more. It's starting to kick off. Yeah, Magic the Gathering's great. Wizards of the Coast, though, they're a little woke, and I'm not all about that woke stuff, but they are going a little woke. They've been making a lot of weird decisions, and not to mention, they're even kind of pushing it with some of the D&D stuff, and we're all not wanting that to happen. I've talked to a lot of people who are like, no, I'm still running my campaign like it's old school.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go by if they're going to change this stuff. Actually, I should do something to cover that, shouldn't I? I think I should. And maybe I'll do that later. Again, guys, I appreciate anybody who wants to actually stop by and just listen to these. These are just going to be some D&D thoughts. This here is a good friend of mine. He's actually family by marriage. And he had never thought, this is a good country boy right here, and he had never thought he'd enjoy D&D. But that's the thing, is y'all need to give it a shot. You'll need to check it out, and you will surprise yourselves. Everybody, y'all be safe out there. Take care.